This is Chrissy.
This is Dee.
And we have been inspired to do a little video on our trip that we've had since we've come to Arizona. Mm-hmm. So a little bit about how we got here. I had met Deanna, a couple weeks before, just kind of chatting in the group and stuff in one of the TFAS chats or LPC chats. And I was coming here and I had an extra room and I was like, well, who should I invite? And I was inspired to invite her. And what happened when I invited you, Deanna?
Well, I got really excited because I'd been trying to manifest a trip to Sedona for 6 months. But I hadn't even told Chrissy, so she had no idea that I was doing that. And so it was just another, to me, it was another example of God moving through my life. Because when I first came to Jeff Shaleia's work, I knew that God was always moving in my life, but I had a hard time really seeing it. And so this seemed to be this huge, very clear and obvious sign, hey, you've been talking to me about this trip for 6 months. Here it is. And you didn't have to try. You didn't have to sacrifice anything. You didn't have to make it happen. This is you listening to your heart, following God, and it just came right to you. So for me, it was a really clear symbol of Jeff Shaleia's work and God moving through my life.
Mm-hmm. Love that. Yeah, so as we got here, I really felt when I met her that I was meeting I'd said this in TFAS class because you got to join us in a live TFAS class. I'm really excited about your blog you're going to be putting together for that. But it was really meeting a pen pal that I've known forever, but I had not met yet. Mm-hmm. It was a connection that I felt almost instantly. And
it didn't feel awkward. When I walked up to her, I was kind of wondering, is this going to feel awkward when I walk up to her? And, but it didn't. We just, started talking right away. And it actually reminded me of when I met my twin, how natural it was. It just, a divine connection.
Right. And that's because we both, are dedicated to our, spiritual practices and discipline.
Which brings us into the whole reason for this video.
Yes.
Divine friendships.
Exactly.
What a natural transition.
Thank you.
We didn't even write a script.
Obviously.
God wrote our script.
That's right.
What I really got from these 4 days is, honestly, there's one specific time in this trip that kind of encompasses the whole trip for me, and that's when we went to Chapel of the Holy Cross. That was something that was a big to-do for me, because I've heard about it my whole life. I've read about it, and it was on my must-see in Sedona list. And so I made her turn off the road, and I was we gotta see it, I've been talking about it since we got here. And then we went to it, and it was super underwhelming. It was just a building, it's beautiful, but I've seen much more beautiful buildings, and there wasn't, not to say that it's not special, but I just didn't really get much out of it. And that kind of was the point in the trip when I kind of realized this trip was not about my list of things to see. It was all about experiencing divine partnership with Chrissy.
Aww.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was
because
awesome.
None of the things we went and did impressed me. It was what we were doing and talking about while we were there.
Yeah, I completely agree. For me, it goes along those same lines too. I think one of my moments that I really enjoyed that we just kind of fell onto was after the Chapel of the Holy Cross. So it's called.
Yeah.
We went to Grasshopper Point, and we just showed up there, not really having a plan, and we were literally, this gentleman there was
sitting there, and it looked like he was waiting for us to show up.
Seriously, that's what it felt like, too. He just started talking to us, and he went, in 2 minutes, he was leading us to this space that was actually completely vacant and had 3 running waterfalls. And then he told us a story of how they are the 3 sacred whitewater rivers, and that they're not known by many people, and hardly anyone knows that they're there anymore. It's like an old Apache Indian tale of some sort. And he told us all about it. And then he literally gave us his raft to enjoy for the rest of the afternoon and went on a hike and left.
Yeah, he just brought us to this beautiful place where no one else was. Yeah. The clearest water, the coolest story that you can't find on Google. He said that only people in that area know that story. Yeah. And then he just gave us the gift of his raft and, like, left. Like, it was amazing.
It was absolutely a moment of heaven on earth. And, you know, that's what Katrina was talking about in that post that she had noted, one of the posts in the forums. And for me, this was really similar to you. It was understanding what deep relationships are and what friendships are and partnerships are meant to be.
Because our ascension isn't just being with your twin flame, living your life purpose. It also is about your friendships transforming and calling in, like, your soul family and people who you can appreciate God with. And understand that God is always the center of the relationship, it's not codependent. It's not like I depend on what you give to me to stay in relationship with you. We're both focused on God, and if that means we end up in the same space, great, I'll walk with you. But if not, I'm not going to force that.
And I love that you noted that. Like, I think that the two of us and many other people also have that true love for the space that Jeff and Shaleia have created for us in TFAS and that community and giving back. And this is just the start of these, right? It's just the beginning. Yeah. And what an awesome opportunity for us to meet people that are also going all in so many different areas of their life.
Yeah, it's very
that can
nice.
Grow with you. So, how do you feel? Is there anything else you want to add to this?
Yeah, we got some cards. Feminine energy and intuition, Oak Creek.
It reminds me of the story of the rivers.
It also, Oak Creek was the first place we tried to purposely go to, and it didn't work.
Oh, that's right. Let's talk about that a little bit.
And we followed our intuition instead.
We did.
So this is the card that we pulled. This is a Sedona deck.
I bought. Very fitting.
And it says Oak Creek. I don't know if you can see that. Feminine energy and intuition. Oak Creek on our first day. This was our first destination on the list that we were, like, aiming for. So we got on the road, and as we continued to drive closer and closer to this destination, she got sicker and sicker until the point where she pulled over. At first it started with a headache.
It did.
And then she felt ill, and then she just pulled over, and she's like, I'm done, dude. We're done here.
Like, yeah, I was like, you know, I was like, how do you feel? Like, do you feel okay?
I felt emotionally unwell. She felt physically unwell.
I was about to throw up. Yeah. And it was funny because in class, Shaleia said that that's something about Sedona. It either sucks you in or spits you out. And that was like,
that first day, we felt a lot of purging going on as we released control. Yeah. And we decided, this doesn't feel good to go to Oak Creek. So why would we go there? Just because it's on our list? You know?
Yeah. And it's amazing because, that reminds me, like, once we let go of that plan, that kind of leads us into what we did yesterday at the Grand Canyon. So we had released it so much that we went to the Grand Canyon and we got maps when we walked in, and I was opening the map and she just looked at me like, this has not worked with maps.
Yeah, why are you opening a map?
Why are you opening a map now?
It has not worked so far.
I was like, good point. Very good point. So, yeah. So, and I think that's what was, like, magical about our trip. Like, we just allowed God to guide us.
This sacred magic.
Yeah. And that's what happened. That's what I get from that card. What do you get from that card?
Well, at the Grand Canyon, unexpectedly, I went into a huge upset. A completely big upset. And to the point where kind of like, it pretty much, the whole time we were at the Grand Canyon was spent with her walking me through this upset. And it went all the way back to like a trauma with my brother's suicide. And she led me into that space, and it was so natural for her. Afterwards, I was like, I feel bad that our whole time there was spent with you helping me work through an upset. And she was like, this is what I do. Like, of course, it's completely fine. And we did, we, like, gathered, like, pine cones and sticks from the ground and, like, built a little, what's it called? Shrine?
It was like a sand table.
Yeah, and so, like, I was able to...
ceremony for you.
Yeah, a little ceremony. And that's kind of what that card reminded me of.
It was funny how
it was sacred.
Where we landed, where God took us for that.
It's a cemetery.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And on the way there, we saw, like, a dead animal on the side of the road. Mm-hmm. And then that whole time I was releasing my brother's death and, like, all these, like, unhealthy attachments to it. And then we did that little ceremony in the graveyard, and as we were driving back, we saw a lot of wildlife, like, actual living animals. Yeah, so that was cool.
Yeah. And that's something that, living your life purpose, you hit on, like, my part in that, and how I provided you that analogy was, if you were writing a song, which is your life purpose, while we were there, it would feel amazing to you, right? And that's how living my life purpose feels to me, and how natural it is.
It's just literally a part of her life.
Mm-hmm.
She doesn't like, I'm going to work now. Now I'm coming home. Now I go on vacation. It's just all one thing.
Mm-hmm. There's no compartmentalization here.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's good. One more card?
Sure, you pick.
Okay. Oh, I like it.
Changes. And Chrissy's a child, and that's with the word cock.
So, okay, it says coxcomb.
It's not that funny that it says that word.
I'm sorry, I'm very innocent.
We pulled that card the other day, and she laughed because it was a naughty word.
Anyways,
changes.
What do you get from that card?
Well, I feel like this trip changed me
mm-hmm.
in a lot of ways, and when I go back home, I don't leave that all here. I take all that change with me, and then I incorporate it into my life, and my whole life is transformed. Meeting someone in person for the first time who... It helps me understand what, like, if, once the whole planet's ascended, like, what that will be like to interact with other people and, like, actually walk through your day-to-day life. Like she said, no compartmentalizing. You don't, like, have to hole up in your room to do the spiritual work. Our whole vacation was about that. During the car rides, we were pulling cards. Like, we were always talking, always checking in.
The bar.
Yeah, at the bar, like, it didn't matter. There was no place where God wasn't. And even though that's true, like, I actually got to really experience that.
Mm.
So.
Yeah. It was awesome. I'm just very grateful I had this time with you.
Mm-hmm.
Really am. It was a blast. And I just recommend, if you have the opportunity to link in with students,
do it.
Do it. Get involved.
But you don't have to force it.
That's right.
This came super naturally.
It did.
Not supernaturally, but super naturally.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Well.
Thanks for listening.
Yeah. Love y'all.
Bye.
Ciao.